When another person attempts to humiliate you, resist the instinct to defend yourself. Offer no explanations. Provide no justifications. Deny them the satisfaction of discovering what truly moves you, because the second you react, the game is lost. You have revealed your triggers, and more critically, you have shown that they are effective. Machiavelli grasped a principle that many still struggle to accept. The world does not cater to your emotions. It analyzes them. Every time you surrender to anger, every time you engage in debate to validate your position, every time you allow someone to provoke a reaction from you, you are giving them a lesson in your own manipulation. People don't insult you out of pure hatred. They insult you as a test. They are probing to see if they can destabilize you, to learn if your sense of self is so fragile that a few words can break it. This is why the most formidable figures in history rarely won arguments. They didn't need to. They mastered silence. They refused to defend themselves, allowing others to reveal their own desperation through their relentless attacks. Because here is the cold reality. The one who reacts is the one who reveals their cards. The one who remains calm is the one in control. An insult is more than an attack. It's a question. The world is asking you, do you know your own worth, or do you require my definition? The moment you provide an emotional answer, you have ceded your power. You have permitted someone else to dictate your value. But the individual who can stand firm, who can let turmoil erupt around them without losing their own center, becomes a force to be reckoned with. Not because they are aggressive, but because they are indecipherable. Nothing exposes people more quickly than how they respond to your lack of response. So, the next time someone directs an insult your way, do not grant them your energy. Let them have their say. Let the noise of their words reveal the emptiness of their own insecurity. The truth is, only those who are fundamentally unstable feel the need to prove they are strong. The truly powerful do not flinch. They simply observe. As Machiavelli noted, he who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. Now, I want you to anchor this by putting this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my power. Number 1, the psychology behind insults. Every insult is engineered with a hidden purpose. It's never about the words themselves. It's about establishing control. People deploy insults as probes, pushing against your psyche to see what makes you flinch. When someone belittles you, criticizes your choices, or questions your value, they aren't just speaking, they are running a diagnostic. They are looking for a spike in your emotional temperature. They want to map the emotions that govern your actions. Insults are not random acts. They are targeted triggers, crafted to uncover your vulnerabilities. In reality, an insult reveals far more about the person who delivers it than the person who receives it. Yet most people fail to see this. They internalize the attack, react emotionally, and in doing so, they hand over a complete schematic of their emotional triggers. This is precisely why Machiavelli cautioned leaders to remain unreadable. Predictability is the enemy of power. When you are insulted, you are not truly being attacked. You are being measured. The aggressor is asking, what shatters your composure? What wounds your pride? What truth are you afraid of? The more you respond, the more data you provide. They learn which weapons are effective and how to use them next time. What starts as a minor emotional test evolves into a cycle of manipulation designed to keep you off balance. Those who understand this psychological game can turn the tables completely. Instead of being the subject of the test, they become the scientist. They watch with calm detachment as others reveal their own internal chaos. Because when an insult is met with silence, the aggressor is thrown into confusion. Their experiment has failed. Their bid for control has been denied. Your silence becomes more punishing than any retort. They are left to wonder what kind of person remains unmoved by ridicule. And in that moment, the power quietly shifts. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked." He meant that our emotions make us predictable, and predictability makes us vulnerable. The person who cannot govern their own anger, pride, or need for approval will forever be controlled by others. But the one who observes before reacting, who reads the intention behind the words, becomes impossible to manipulate. So when someone aims verbal poison at you, do not absorb it. Dissect it. Do not respond. Observe. In every insult lies a confession about the one who spoke it. Their envy, their insecurity, their desperate need to feel important. Remember this. Insults are psychological mirrors, reflecting the instability of the person holding them. Once you understand that, no word has the power to harm you. You don't just hear the insult. You decode their entire strategy. And when you can decode people, you control the interaction. That is the essence of true emotional intelligence. Not being soft, but being strategically aware. Drop this affirmation in the comments below. I see through the noise. Number 2, the Machiavellian principle. Control the frame. Power isn't always about force. More often, it's about controlling the frame, the invisible context where meaning is determined. Most people lose power not from a lack of strength, but because they unknowingly accept another person's frame of reality. When someone insults you, they are inviting you to enter their frame, a world built on emotional chaos and provocation. The instant you react, you step onto their battlefield, where you are forced to play by their rules. But Machiavelli knew that whoever defines the frame ultimately defines the outcome. He taught that perception often outweighs reality because people are governed by appearances. Therefore, the wise do not engage in a fight within someone else's frame. They reshape the frame itself from the outside. When you remain calm in the face of an insult, you instantly reframe the entire interaction. You make the aggressor appear desperate and emotionally volatile, while you seem composed and in control. The focus shifts from their words to the stark contrast between their instability and your stillness. Suddenly, they are the one being analyzed, not you. This is why emotional discipline is not just a sign of maturity. It is a strategic weapon. Every time you decline to participate in a battle of egos, you silently redefine the power dynamic. You elevate yourself from a player in the game to an observer of it, and the observer always holds the advantage. The person who reacts loses influence. The person who remains centered gains it. It's like a master chess player who, after an attack, doesn't frantically counter but calmly repositions, waiting for their opponent to make a fatal error. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." He understood that emotional reactions make you predictable, but controlling the frame makes you powerful. When you maintain your composure, people begin to doubt their own aggression. Your stillness serves as a mirror, reflecting their own lack of discipline. They may raise their voice, but your silence amplifies the tension. They may try to provoke you, but your unshakable presence exposes their immaturity. Bit by bit, their confidence crumbles, and their frame collapses. The true Machiavellian mind never seeks external validation. Instead, it sets the emotional tone of the environment. It doesn't pursue dominance. It becomes the standard to which others must adapt. When you master this, people stop reacting to you. They start reacting to your very presence. You step into a realm of influence where power is both quiet and absolute. You begin to control perception, not with your words, but with your being. Remember, control of the frame is control of meaning, and control of meaning is control of minds. Every time you remain calm during a storm, you rewrite the rules of power without saying a single word. That is why composure is not weakness. It is authority in disguise. Type this affirmation into the comments. I control the frame. Asterisk. Number 3. The silent authority. Silence is a tool that is deeply misunderstood. The world often mistakes quiet for weakness, assuming that those who don't speak are either afraid or uncertain. Machiavelli would have seen this as a fool's assumption. Silence is not a void of power. It is the most concentrated form of it. The individual who can remain silent while others scramble to fill the void with noise holds the true authority. When you are insulted, the most powerful response is not a clever comeback or a heated defense, but a deliberate and profound stillness. This stillness carries a psychological force that words can never match. It compels the other person to confront the emptiness of their own aggression. You see, an insult is designed to provoke a reaction, a verbal stone thrown to create ripples. When the surface remains perfectly still, it unnerves the aggressor. Their mind races, questioning its own impact. Did my words even land? Why is there no reaction? This internal confusion escalates into discomfort, and that discomfort eventually gives way to a form of respect. Humans are instinctively drawn to what they cannot decipher. The loud and reactive are easy to read. The silent and composed are an enigma. Asterisk. Machiavelli famously wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." He advised that one must be a fox to spot the traps and a lion to scare the wolves. Silence embodies both. It is the fox concealing your thoughts, and the lion projecting an aura of quiet strength. When you say nothing, you force others to fill the void with their own imagination. They project their fears, their doubts, or even their admiration onto you, all created by their own minds. That is the genius of silent authority. It allows others to expose themselves while you remain a mystery. In politics, business, and personal relationships, the one who speaks less always maintains the advantage because they preserve their mystique. Every word you speak is a piece of data about your inner state. Silence denies them this data. It keeps them guessing, and in that state of uncertainty, they lose psychological ground. Power is not always overt. Often, it is implied. Your stillness communicates absolute confidence. By not responding, you are sending a clear message. Your attempt to disturb me is not worth my energy. That message resonates far more deeply than any spoken reply. People fear being ignored more than they fear being attacked. Being ignored invalidates their significance. It confirms that their attempt to disrupt your inner peace has utterly failed. This is why silence feels like dominance. It forces others to face their own noise. In your silence, they are confronted by themselves. And for many, that is an unbearable encounter. The wise do not vie for attention. They command presence through restraint. Silence is not passive. It is emotional discipline weaponized into visible control. The moment you master the art of remaining still under fire, you cease to be a participant and become a force of nature. You no longer have to pursue influence. Your silence becomes it. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence commands respect. Number 4. Self-awareness creates immunity. Every insult that lands successfully has found an unhealed part of you. The only reason words have the power to wound is because they connect with a part of you that still craves external approval or harbors deep-seated insecurity. True power is born the moment you grasp this. The world cannot injure what you have already fully accepted about yourself. When you possess such a complete understanding of who you are, that no outside opinion can shake your self-image, you achieve emotional immunity. Machiavelli believed that strength comes not from arrogance, but from a deep understanding of human nature starting with your own. When someone targets your perceived weakness, they are betting on your lack of self-awareness. They anticipate a defensive reaction because that reaction confirms your vulnerability. But self-awareness completely dismantles the structure of an insult. It transforms an attack into a source of information. Instead of asking, "Why would they say that?" you begin to ask, "Why did that comment affect me?" This single shift in perspective changes the entire game. You evolve from a puppet of your emotions into a master of your own perception. When you claim ownership of your flaws, you strip others of the ability to use them against you. Imagine someone calls you arrogant. If you are already aware that your confidence can be perceived this way, their words lose their sting. You are able to see their comment through a lens of understanding, not ego. Every insult then becomes a diagnostic tool, showing you where you still rely on others for your sense of self-worth. Once you face that dependency head-on, it begins to dissolve. Machiavelli stated, "It is not titles that honor men, but men who honor titles." He was reminding us that our value is not assigned to us. It is generated from within. When your self-worth is internally defined, no external remark can diminish it. The person insulting you is merely describing the limits of their own perception, not the reality of who you are. Self-awareness makes you untouchable because it turns your perception into armor. You start to observe your emotions from a distance instead of being controlled by them. You feel the stirrings of anger, but choose tranquility. You notice the sting of disrespect, but refuse to feed it energy. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. This level of composure is deeply unsettling to people who thrive on emotional chaos. They expect you to shatter. Instead, you reflect their own agitation back at them. They soon realize your silence is not weakness. It is impenetrable control. The secret to emotional immunity is the simple truth that you cannot be wounded by a reality you have already embraced. When you are at peace with your own imperfections, criticism becomes nothing more than ambient noise. The words that once inflicted pain now sound hollow because you no longer hear them through the filter of insecurity. You hear them through the filter of awareness that you become unshakable, not by hiding your flaws, but by owning them so completely that they can no longer be weaponized. That is when your entire presence shifts. People sense it. They feel that their opinions have no purchase on you, and it unnerves them. You have evolved beyond mere reaction and into a state of mastery. You have learned that power doesn't come from proving other people wrong. It comes from knowing that you were never defined by them in the first place. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable. Number 5. Learn from what they reveal. Every insult directed at you is a confession in disguise. The words people choose to try and diminish you are often a direct reflection of their own internal battles. A person consumed by envy will accuse you of arrogance. Someone mired in insecurity will label you a fraud. The principle is simple. People project onto others what they cannot confront within themselves. Machiavelli was a master observer of this human tendency. He noted how the weak often cloak their resentment in the language of morality and their jealousy in the guise of concern. When someone insults you, it is rarely a statement about you. It is a broadcast of their own discomfort with your existence. Their reaction to you exposes everything they feel they lack. Instead of taking offense, you must learn to listen like a strategist gathering intelligence. Insults are raw data. They reveal how you are perceived, what aspects of your character threaten others, and where their own egos are most fragile. Each insult is a critical piece of psychological information that teaches you how to navigate the social landscape. This is why the emotionally intelligent do not waste energy on retaliation. They focus on extracting meaning. Machiavelli advised, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. By that same logic, you can assess a person's mental state by the way they speak of others. When someone resorts to verbal venom, it's a clear sign they are fighting an internal war. Their hostility is not a display of power. It is a symptom of their own pain. To see through this illusion, is to escape their control. You begin to operate from a place of awareness, not emotion. Instead of reacting, you analyze. You see their desperate need for validation, their hunger for significance, their unspoken plea for attention. The wise do not take insults personally, because they understand that every word is imprinted with the speaker's psychological baggage. By remaining calm, you encourage them to reveal even more. Their tone, their body language, their persistence all become windows into their deepest insecurities. The harder they try to provoke you, the more transparent they become. What started as their attempt to expose you concludes with them exposing themselves. When you start treating insults as lessons instead of attacks, you acquire an advantage that most people will never have: perspective. You learn the mechanics of the human ego under stress. You begin to recognize the patterns. Who insults from a place of envy? Who mocks out of fear? Who belittles to hide their shame? This knowledge becomes power as it teaches you how to manage people with precision, not just emotion. The greatest warriors don't hate their enemies. They study them. They understand that awareness is a far more lethal weapon than anger. When you reach this level of clarity, insults lose all their toxicity. You come to see the world as a mirror. What people say about you is often what they are struggling to accept about themselves. So, when someone tries to tear you down, remember, they are not revealing your weakness. They are confessing their own. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I learn from every insult. Number 6. The art of subtle replies. There will be times when silence is not the optimal strategy. Moments when you feel compelled to respond, not to defend your honor, but to elegantly reclaim control of the interaction. The key here is subtlety. Machiavelli was a master of words that could disarm an opponent without open conflict. He knew that the most effective blades are those concealed by a calm demeanor. Most insults wither when met with composure. However, a carefully chosen, emotionally neutral response can redirect an attacker's momentum back onto them. For instance, when someone says, "You've changed," the insecure person will rush to explain themselves. The powerful individual might simply reply, "That is the point of growth." The statement is not defensive. It's definitive. It communicates that your personal evolution is not up for their approval. If they sneer, "You think you're better than everyone?" A response like, "I think differently," can end the conversation with quiet authority. The purpose of a subtle reply is not to win the argument, but to terminate it while preserving your dignity. To achieve this, your tone must be level, your words concise, and your gaze steady. People who use insults are expecting an emotional outburst. They are prepared for a confrontation, not for disciplined composure. When your response is measured and your presence is calm, it throws them off balance. Their attempt to provoke you implodes, and they are left questioning their own position. Machiavelli once said, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." Speaking calmly in a volatile situation is a form of calculated risk because it reveals the depth of your self-control. Every word becomes a surgical instrument, not an emotional reaction. The less emotion you deploy, the more weight your words carry. A subtle reply is not about a witty comeback or biting sarcasm. It's about creating a psychological vacuum after you've spoken. A pause that hangs in the air, underscoring the failure of their insult. In that moment, they realize their attack achieved nothing. That silence becomes your most powerful ally, allowing your presence to communicate the rest. When you respond with calm brevity, you shift the entire atmosphere. Onlookers will notice who maintained their grace and who lost control. Your words have a different resonance when they are used sparingly and with intention. This is not about humiliating your opponent. It's about maintaining absolute control while appearing completely untouchable. Subtle replies demand immense discipline. You must master your tone, timing, and restraint. If you are too soft, you appear weak. If you are too harsh, you appear defensive. The perfect balance is found in emotional neutrality, a delivery that feels effortless, as if you are addressing something utterly insignificant. Because in truth, it is. No insult can penetrate a mind that sees beyond the provocation. The power is not in the words you select, but in the energy that carries them. Calm, detached, and final. The more you practice this, the more people will. Learn that attempting to provoke you is a futile exercise. Your subtlety becomes your shield. You are not fighting. You are demonstrating mastery. The world will always test you, but your control over your tone is what separates the powerful from the reactive. Precision in language is a reflection of a precise mind. So remember, speak rarely, but when you do, make it count. Now, drop this affirmation in the comments. My calmness ends conflicts. Number 7. The long game of composure. Machiavelli knew that true power is never a sprint. It's a marathon. The individuals who ultimately triumph are not those who react the fastest, but those who can outlast all their rivals. Composure is not about a single act of silence. It's about sustaining your equilibrium over time, regardless of the provocations you face. The world will relentlessly test your patience, trying to tempt you into trading long-term influence for a fleeting moment of satisfaction. Most people fall into this trap because their ego craves immediate gratification. They need to be proven right now. They demand respect now. They seek vengeance now. But the Machiavellian thinker understands that emotional haste is the death of strategic advantage. Every impulsive reaction erodes your leverage. Conversely, when you remain consistently composed, you make time your greatest weapon. People who thrive on drama and conflict eventually burn themselves out. They reveal their lack of discipline. Through repetition, while your steadfast calmness builds a reputation of unshakable credibility. The longer you remain unperturbed, the more formidable you appear. Time has a way of exposing the truth. Those who desperately seek the spotlight eventually fade, while those who remain grounded inevitably rise. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The core of this wisdom is patience. You feel no need to rush to prove your point because you have the foresight to understand the eventual outcome. Every insult, every challenge, every attempt to destabilize you is just another data point in a larger pattern you are observing. You are no longer engaging in momentary skirmishes. You are fighting a war of attrition that only the disciplined can win. A calm mind is a fortress, capable of withstanding any storm while watching the impatient destroy themselves on its walls. Those who need to respond instantly reveal their lack of an inner foundation. Their actions are dictated by their emotions, and time will invariably punish them for it. But when you refuse to submit to emotional urgency, you begin to command a different kind of respect, the kind that is earned through consistency. People are drawn to stability, and composure is stability made manifest. This isn't about pretending to be unaffected. It is about mastering the art of emotional detachment so profoundly that provocation itself becomes meaningless. The long game of composure is about building your legacy. Each time you remain calm under pressure, you are adding another brick to your reputation of authority. Over time, that reputation solidifies into your identity. People will begin to associate your silence with confidence, your patience with power, and your lack of reaction with wisdom. This is how true leaders are forged, not through loud, public victories, but through quiet, invisible discipline. Eventually, the very people who once mocked your restraint will begin to emulate it, finally realizing that control is a far greater strength than aggression. Composure is magnetic because it signifies self-mastery, and self-mastery is the bedrock upon which all empires are built. Remember this: storms are temporary, but the mountain endures. If you can hold your center long enough, time will expose everyone who could not. That is how the composed always win, not with speed, but with endurance. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My calm outlasts chaos. Number 8. The final power shift. There will come a moment, after you have trained your emotions with such discipline, that insults cease to register as attacks. They will simply become noise that passes through you, leaving no impact. At this stage, something profound occurs. The power dynamic permanently inverts. The very people who once tried to provoke you will begin to hesitate. They will sense something in you they cannot name, a composure that feels impenetrable, a silence that makes them doubt themselves. You will have become unreadable. And in a world that craves reaction, unreadability is a terrifying form of power. Machiavelli understood that mystery is a tool of command. He taught that people fear what they cannot predict and respect what they cannot comprehend. When your emotional state is a fortress, your mind becomes an enigma. Others can no longer find your limits, and this uncertainty translates directly into influence. They will start to treat you differently, not because you demanded it, but because your very presence makes them conscious of their own emotional volatility. The power will have shifted without a single word being spoken. You no longer need to assert your authority. Your composure asserts it for you. The one who cannot be emotionally manipulated becomes the one who manipulates the emotional environment. An invisible hierarchy forms, built not on aggression, but on supreme self-control. You have no need for revenge. You have no need for validation. You don't even need to try to be calm. It radiates from you effortlessly. This is the emergence of genuine confidence, the kind that has no need to perform, posture, or announce itself. It simply exists. The person who can remain tranquil while the world around them is in chaos becomes a center of gravity. People are drawn to this stability because it offers a sense of security, yet they also fear it because it serves as a mirror to their own lack of control. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." He was not advocating for tyranny, but for a presence so powerful that it commands respect. Fear, in his context, is the awe inspired by those who have mastered themselves. When you cannot be swayed, you lead without trying. Others will begin to unconsciously align with your emotional state. They will moderate their behavior, choose their words more carefully, and lower their tone in your presence. Without ever issuing a threat, you will have become the standard. That is the ultimate transformation, from the one who reacted to the one who sets the tone for all reactions. Power no longer needs to be demonstrated. It is simply felt. You have become the still point in a turbulent world, and that stillness forces others into your orbit. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am my own power. Here is the truth that most will never be willing to face. Real strength is silent. It does not plead for attention. It does not demand respect. It does not prove itself to anyone. Real strength simply does not flinch. Every insult, every provocation, every attack is a training ground to cultivate this power. The next time someone attempts to get under your skin, pause. Let your silence be the answer. Let your calmness dominate the space. Observe them carefully. See the reflection of their own inner chaos. Understand that their words have authority only if you grant it to them. Machiavelli taught that perception is reality, and emotion is the fastest way to control perception. By mastering your own emotions, by refusing to react, you rewrite the rules of every human interaction. You become untouchable. Those who believed they could throw you off balance will find themselves destabilized. Their aggression will seem clumsy, their insults will sound empty, and their attempts to control, you will be rendered powerless. This is the moment the power quietly and irrevocably shifts to you. You will not need to raise your voice, to retaliate, or to humiliate them. Your presence, your composure, and your self-mastery will speak more loudly than any words ever could. It is subtle, but it is absolute. Let this be your guiding principle. Mastery over yourself is the only true mastery over those who would try to control you. The world will never stop testing you. That is a given. But victory is not found in deflecting the attacks, but in mastering your response to them. Become the unmovable center of the storm. Let your calmness unnerve others. Let your composure command respect. This is your new discipline. Take every insult and provocation and use it as fuel to forge your inner strength. Let the world make its noise while you observe and evolve. Let them expose their weaknesses while your silence reveals your power. The path is straightforward, but very few have the discipline to walk it. Those who do, however, will attain something the loud and reactive can never comprehend: the quiet, unshakable dominance of a mind in complete control. If you commit to this lesson, if you practice it with relentless focus, you will become untouchable. Now, for the last time, drop this final affirmation in the comments. I do not flinch. Remember, strength is not about showing the world you have it. It is about never feeling the need to.